Hey everyone, Jason Shepard here of M0A.com and welcome to today's video lesson. What we're going to talk about today is choosing great cross-country checkpoints. I mean, any check ride you do in your flight training is effectively going to be a simulated cross-country of some sort. A big part of your private pilot training, your sport pilot training, your instrument pilot training is doing those cross countries because these examiners know that you're not going to just want to take the family flying around the traffic pattern. They know you're going to want to get up and go. So let's talk about some great cross-country checkpoints. Let's talk first, though, about some things to avoid. Things like cell phone towers. People see these little tiny antennas and think, oh, well, I'll use that as a great checkpoint. When you're at 2,500, 3,500, 4,500, you're never going to see any of those tiny little 200, 300-foot cell towers. They're just too small and they make terrible cross-country checkpoints. Unless there's something like a power plant that there's stacks and they're blowing smoke, you're actually never going to see any of that stuff. Another one is private airports. Unless you are familiar with the area, you're never going to see that private airport either. A lot of times these grass strips are kind of tucked in certain places. From a sectional chart, you can't tell the runway layout, whether it's north, south, east, west. You can't tell, so you don't know what to really be looking for in the first place. Another one to avoid, small bodies of water, especially working towards a drier season. Those smaller bodies of water just may not be there when it's time for you to fly over them. The last one is cities. I mean, how are you to tell one city from the next? And how are you to even use a city as a checkpoint when I get to the beginning of it, when I get to the end of it? How does that work? And I don't know if this is a true story or not, but someone once told me the reason they put the name of the town on the water tower is because pilots used to fly down low enough back in the day to read the name of the town to know where they're at as they continue on to the next town. Now, I don't know if that's a true story or not, but cities usually are not the best checkpoint to use, because how are you to tell this city from that city unless you're familiar with the area? If you're familiar with the area, you can say, yeah, that's the Walmart in that town. Then that's a different story. But in unfamiliar terrain, I would try to avoid using cities. Let's talk about some great checkpoints now. Great checkpoints include airports, large public airports, somewhere you could fly over and clearly see, yep, they have a runway 36 and a runway 927. It makes a perfect X. Yep, that's that airport out there. Excuse me. Another is large roads, interstates, turnpikes, anything big and easily definable, especially we kind of track all the twists and turns of the road. Same thing with rivers. Large rivers make a great checkpoint. Those rivers are usually on the sectional chart charted in such great detail that you can literally follow every bend in that river to really confirm it. And the last is large landscape changes, going from, say, the plains to a hilly or mountainous area. Using those landscape changes, I always joke and tell my students, and some of you this may be old news to, but when we were doing flying across America and we got out to the mountainous terrain, there weren't really great checkpoints, but literally on the sectional chart it would just say like the letter A. And I always wonder, what does that mean? With the letter A, what does that mean? And we'd fly over, and sure enough, somehow there'd be the letter A in the side of a mountain. Just like a random, just funny, interesting stuff out there. This is way out west now, mountainous area that you can use as checkpoints. If you're curious and you want to see that, I'll try to find a screenshot of it for you and share it in this. But just very, very interesting things sometimes you can use as checkpoints as well. But hey, the letter A on the side of a mountain is a pretty easy checkpoint to spot. So anyways, that's some great checkpoints. What I want to know is, what do you guys think? Let me hear some of your do's and don'ts of choosing cross-country checkpoints. What are some things you said, man, I found this to be a great checkpoint? What are some other things you said, man, I thought this would be a great checkpoint, but it really wasn't that great? Share those in the comment box below on M0A.com. I'd love to read them. And most importantly, guys, remember, a good pilot is always learn. Have a great day, guys. See ya.